Never thought I'd be the one making this video. But hey, look, here I am. LeBron James, you must be stopped.
Hey, yo, foreigner, you crazy for this?
Okay. Yeah, they think I'm jab riding when I'm left hooking. Fiends say they love me cause they know I keep that sack moving. Sad to say, but this the life that I have grew in. I had to hustle, skipping class, man, I was true in. I can flip some packs and teach.
So I feel like something that's been kind of swept under the rug and just kind of not paid attention to is the environment around LeBron James. Is it toxic? Why is it drama every single year, year in, year out? This player's got to get traded. This player's underperforming. It's always something with LeBron-led teams. And I feel like today's the day. We got to call it out, man. This is something that's just been on my mind. I just always wondered about it, just always having conversations with my brother, other fans of the game, and just looking on social media. And then, obviously, sports talk is big in the sports world. I feel like it just gets swept under the rug. So today, I'm really going to break it down, get into it, and see, is the environment around LeBron really toxic? Let's get straight to it. So today, first, we're going to start off with a quote from Mr. Kevin Durant himself. I feel like he was kind of the first one that had the guts to come out to the forefront, put his name on it, and say, the environment around LeBron is toxic. Obviously, he was met with a lot of backlash. A lot of people didn't like his comments, but I respect him for standing on what he said. He said what he said, and he didn't shy away from it. So I'm going to read this quote off word for word for you guys. So much hype comes from being around LeBron from other people, Durant said. He has so many fanboys in the media, and even the beat writers just fawn over him. I'm like, we're playing basketball here. It's not even about basketball at a certain point. So I get why anyone who wouldn't want to be in that environment, because it's toxic. Especially when the attention is just BS attention, fluff. It's not LeBron's fault at all. It's just the fact you have so many groupies in the media. Not lying. That just love to hang on every word. Just get out the way and let us play basketball. Now, KD, I agree with majority of what you said. I will have to disagree with it's not LeBron's fault at all. I feel like as I'm growing up and getting older, and mind you, I'm a LeBron fan, so I've just been watching this kind of. I've been a part of the whole circus, the train, all that, the hype train. So I'm kind of familiar with the drama and stuff like that. So I feel like as I'm getting older, I'm starting to see it for what it is. And I think LeBron, he brings majority of this drama and negativity onto himself and his teammates. Obviously, there's a lot that comes with being LeBron James, the persona. A lot of people want to get a part of you. A lot of people want to talk to you. A lot of people want to be around you. The media, just like Katie said, they held on to every word LeBron says. And sometimes I feel like, I don't think he realized the magnitude of who he is sometimes. I'm like, LeBron. Sometimes when I see him tweet on Twitter, I'm like, you say stuff like you're just a regular fan, but you're LeBron James. So I can agree with Katie on that one. So I feel like it's only right that we start off when he got drafted in 2003 to 2010, his first stint with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I feel like something that a lot of people just run with as far as the narrative of LeBron's first stint in Cleveland is that he never had any help. Something that you're gonna hear a lot in this video. He doesn't have any help. So obviously, Cleveland wasn't a great organization, but to say he never had any help is just completely false. And to look back on those teams now in 2021, 2022 and say, oh, that teams were terrible. LeBron dragged a whole bunch of G League players. That was not the case at all. And the players may not have been all-stars, but they were still great players in their own right. And I think a lot of people are kind of brainwashed to think teams have to be it has to be a super team, it has to be a great player at this position, great player at that position, another great player, just all-star, big-name players. And that's not the case. So I'm gonna look up this roster that went to the NBA Finals. I feel like as a real basketball fan, you know that teams are put together and they're structured in a certain way to where it may be built around the star player, but ultimately these players play their roles to a T, which leads to the success of a team. For example, if you look at the Golden State Warriors in 2016, they had Steph, Clay, but then around them, like this plays back in my mind all the time because I remember watching the NBA Finals and I'm just like we got LeBron, yeah, on our side, but this Warriors team that they're going up against are just they're too deep. They play as a team, and it's just hard to beat somebody that plays as a team. And they're saying with strength in numbers, and just to think about that, it was so true because they came at you in waves. You had Leonardo Barbosa coming off the bench hitting threes, Sean Livingston going crazy from mid-range, and he played his role to a T. Andre Iguodala, obviously, one of the greatest role players that I ever seen personally. Andrew Bogut blocking shots. Just everybody played their role to a T, man. So I feel like you can't just look at the star players and the big names. You have to pay attention to the whole team. But I feel like that's kind of where fans' minds are at today about just big names and trades and free agency and stuff like that. All right, man, let's get into this. So we had Shannon Brown, not a terrible player. Daniel Gibson, Drew Gooden. Being good is good. That don't get you Drew Gooden. Shout out J. Cole. Larry Hughes. Zajunas Ilgauskas. Shout out Big Z. Obviously, Bron. You had Damon Jones, a hooper. Dwayne Jones, Danielle Marshall, Ira Newby, Sasha Pavlovich. You had Eric Snow, Scott Pollard, Anderson Varejao. Then we had David Wesley. But they ultimately end up running into a buzzsaw that we call the San Antonio Spurs, an absolute dynasty. We've seen a run that they went on is just unprecedented. We haven't really seen anything like it. Closest thing is probably the Warriors, but still, even them, Spurs got 5 chips, so it's kind of hard to argue with their success. But ultimately, when you're up against a system like that, you have to have a really solid team. Like we said, LeBron had a very good team, but it wasn't enough to beat Tim Duncan, Manu, TP, Tony Parker, Greg Popovich, and the Spurs organization. That was a super tough, not even just the team, but just the organization as a whole, man, from the top down. They were all in sync, all locked in. And then the role players, I feel that's what's most underrated about the San Antonio Spurs. Their role players were great. They knew their roles. Greg Popovich had everybody on the string, man, as far as defense. And the offense, they played the right way. But I feel like this is kind of where the problem started, sadly. LeBron was just kind of getting used to being like, it's all on my shoulders. I have to do everything. Like, I can't rely on this guy. I can't rely on that guy. After he lost to the San Antonio Spurs, I feel like it was kind of just like the media raining down on you after. And it's crazy to think about. After 4 or 5 seasons, you didn't win a championship, and the media is already calling for your head, like, oh, why does he not have a championship? Oh, is he a choker? Is he this? Is he that? But that's kind of unfair expectation. So I feel like that kind of played a role in him bolting. But we're going to get to that later. The media pressure probably did get to him, and you got to mind you, LeBron, he came straight from high school to the league. I don't think we really understand how tough that is. I'm 20 right now, and I can't even imagine playing in the league right now. And not even just playing in the league, but just trying to figure out, obviously we're all figuring out life, but trying to figure out life in the NBA with a lot of older vets. I'm pretty sure I could do it, but it was still a tough transition for such a young kid. So I feel like we got to keep that in mind. But I feel like Bron became kind of like his world, everybody revolved around him. So I feel like that was kind of, that's what I was trying to say. The world revolved around him. And I feel like he kind of just got used to this. And I feel like this is kind of something that's kind of plagued him in his career. It was something that was kind of ingrained in my head. And I believe, like, growing up, because I was such a LeBron fan. I'm still am a LeBron fan, but I feel like I was more gullible. I wasn't able to see stuff on my own, see stuff for myself. So I used to think everybody in the media was just hating on LeBron. Even my pops, he used to call LeBron out. He still does on all the little stuff that he does and the antics and the drama. And I used to think it was hating. But now that I'm getting older, I'm starting to see it. I'm like, damn, maybe they was on to something. Maybe they had a point. I don't feel like LeBron is entirely the victim in a lot of situations. I feel like just a lot of stuff he brings on himself and his teammates. That first run in Cleveland was ultimately, it was successful by LeBron's standard, but as a team and as an organization, they weren't able to bring home a championship to Cleveland in the first stint. So that led to part two.
The answer to the question everybody wants to know. LeBron, what's your decision?
In this fall, man, this is very tough. In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
Miami Heat. That was the conclusion you woke up with this morning.
That was the conclusion I woke up with this morning.
The decision. Man, the decision. I wasn't really old enough to be watching basketball when the decision happened. I was fairly young when that happened. I really don't have a lot of memories. But I've talked to people that watched it. I've talked to my dad too. He told me he was kind of upset because it happened during the NBA Finals, and he felt like LeBron was kind of taking away attention from the NBA Finals and making it a big spectacle. But ultimately, the decision was the first time we've seen an NBA player really, truly take free agency into his own hands. Obviously, free agency was a thing, but it wasn't as big as LeBron made it. He made it to where like, oh, I'm pausing the whole free agency, I'm pausing the whole NBA, the whole sports world. Everybody's gonna have to wait for my decision. And in a way, he was smart about it. Like we said, he did it at a Boys and Girls Club, where he strategically put sponsors around the ESPN set so that he could raise money and donate it to charity for the Boys and Girls Club. So I feel like you can't really hate that. But I feel like maybe the way he went about it was not the right way. Obviously, he upset a lot of people. He upset Cleveland. But ultimately, I don't think it was really something to hate him over, because it was his decision. But I think just drawing it out is always going to bring a lot of criticism, because now I see even lesser players today. Bro, just sign with your team, bro. You're not LeBron. But even they do it, so can't really hate it. So the decision happened on July 8, 2010, during the NBA Finals that took place between the Celtics and the Lakers. I'm pretty sure we all remember what happened there. Great series. LeBron announced during an hour-long special that he was taking his talents to South Beach. I feel like it was a great decision for his career, and I know LeBron, he's came out and said that going to Miami for those 4 years was kind of like his college, because he came out of high school. He learned a lot. Obviously, the Heat are a first-class organization. He learned from Dwayne Wade, great players like Chris Bosh, and then, like I said, Pat Riley, one of the greatest coaches ever, ultimately transitioned to the front office and overseeing the whole team. I feel like LeBron got to learn from a lot of great basketball minds, but he became the NBA villain. And I feel like that was kind of a weird role for LeBron at the time. Obviously, he was only 25 when he made the decision. So I know we see star athletes and we don't really feel like we can relate to them. But LeBron was only 25, so he was still fairly young. So he was still kind of growing up, still learning about himself and stuff like that. So I feel like he was really torn apart about the decision, but ultimately he did what he felt was best for him, and we can't do anything but respect that. The reason why the decision was so significant was because LeBron, like I said earlier, he changed free agency forever. He made it to where it was okay to switch teams, it was okay to team up. And I know a lot of people say, like, there's arguments that come from all different kinds of angles, like, oh no, super teams been going on since the beginning of the time, and they have. That's true. The Celtics started it. But ultimately, it was LeBron that made it okay and made it cool, because a lot of players will tell you that they were loyal back in the day. And that's a video that's going to be coming very soon. I'm going to talk about loyalty in sports and how it doesn't exist. But I feel like loyalty was something that was preached. But ultimately, I feel like it was because that wasn't acceptable back then in society. You leaving a team, or you requesting a trade, or you doing it yourself was not cool. But if somebody else, like a GM or a team, did it, then it was all right. So I feel like LeBron did it. He took the power into his own hands, and a lot of people didn't like that, as far as owners, as far as fans, and just, I don't know how other players felt about it, but I know he received a lot of backlash. So But yeah, it was a big turning point in sports because it ultimately made free agency cool. And not just basketball, but we're even seeing it in sports like football, baseball, and stuff like that. So yeah, that was a significant decision that LeBron made there. Really flipped the sports world on his head. LeBron James, bolting from Cleveland back to the land. In Miami, the team was ran by super strong leadership. It wasn't no wishy-washy, who's the GM, who's the coach, is LeBron in charge, kind of how we see now. No, it was Pat Riley. He had everything in control. LeBron wasn't calling any shots. His team wasn't calling any shots. So, yeah, Pat Riley's a very strong leader, and I feel like his basketball resume speaks for itself. So for anybody to try to question him and question the team, really didn't have a leg to stand on because he can just hit you with like, look at the championships I won. I coached this player, I coached that player. So they couldn't really do that. Also, Pat Riley supported Eric Spoelstra to the fullest. So there wasn't any, LeBron doesn't like this coach, he doesn't like that coach, let's get him out of here. No, he said Pat Riley said, no, Eric Spoelstra's gonna be the coach. You're not coming in here firing anybody. So I can only respect that. They won 2 championships. The team, as far as a fit wise, wasn't an ideal fit because Dwayne Wade, we obviously know he's more of a slashing player. Likes to get to the rim, likes to have the ball in his hands. But I feel like we got to give much respect to Dwayne Wade because he put his ego to the side and was like, LeBron, this is your team. Do your thing. And he knew LeBron was the younger player. He knew he was the better player. And he put his ego to the side. A lot of players wouldn't have done that. So shout out to D-Wade for that, man. But LeBron, ultimately, they won 2 chips. They struggled at first, but LeBron, he found his footing in Miami, and then they took off from there. I believe they had a 27-game winning streak in one of those seasons. So it shows you how dominant they were just because of their talent. Obviously, basketball IQ was through the roof, had a great coach, great organization. So they were able to gel, they were able to fit. Chris Bosh, he sacrificed. D-Wade sacrificed. And LeBron sacrificed a little bit, but he was the leader of the team, so it was kind of his operation. Like everything, all good things must come to an end. LeBron James and that team in Miami, I feel like a lot of people at the time thought, oh, why didn't he stay? They could win more championships. But I don't agree with that. I feel like at that time that team was kind of expired and they reached the ceiling as far as what they could do in the league. Because when you look at from LeBron in 2010 when he went to Miami, it was still like kind of like a early 2000s league where it was more we get into the basket, we got a big man, we posting up, stuff like that. But then towards 2013, 2014, 2015, that's when the three-point shot became really big in the league. And obviously the Heat had three-point shooters, but they didn't have enough of them. And their best players all were not shooters. Chris Bosh could hit a step-out three, but you don't want Chris Bosh out there just chucking threes all game. That's not his strong suit. D-Wade, obviously not a three-point shooter, and then LeBron, we know he's not a three-point shooter. They can hit him at times, but that's not their strong suit in their game. So I feel like that wasn't smart to have those guys just shooting threes. So ultimately, LeBron brought it back to Cleveland, but also he may have felt that pull. Like, damn, I didn't win it the first time, so I got to go get this. And we heard him say it many a times that he was going to bring a championship back to Cleveland. And we know Cleveland's a city with a tough sports history. They really haven't had too much success, and even when they got to like Super Bowls and stuff like that, they ultimately fell short. So LeBron did what he felt was right and went back to Cleveland. Let's talk about it. So 2014, LeBron, I'm coming home. Tell the world that I'm coming home. Remember it like it was yesterday. In my opinion, this is when LeBron started to understand how much power and leverage that he had, and he started to use it to the fullest extent. LeBron went back and joined a young Kyrie Irving. Obviously, Kyrie Irving was blossoming. The team wasn't winning, and we're not holding that against Kyrie because the Cavs organization is really not that good as far as just putting teams together and stuff like that at the time, because they're looking pretty good right now. So shout out to them. But the team wasn't very good, but Kyrie was putting up numbers, dropping 50s, dropping 60s, dropping 40s with ease. Kyrie's just the ultimately fun player to watch. Sometimes I miss the old Kyrie, man, when we got to see him just cook. But that's a whole nother story for another day. So LeBron got back, And then he was like, we got the #1 pick this year? Okay. Let's go ahead and ship Andrew Wiggins out. #1 pick Andrew Wiggins. Let's ship him out for Kevin Love from Minnesota. At the time, I was like, okay. Didn't see anything wrong with it, but keep that in mind. Kevin Love came back. So we got to think about Kevin Love, a 20-10 guy. He had to lose a lot of weight because he was an undersized power forward, but he made up for that as far as rebounding, being able to shoot the mid-range shot. And obviously when you're down there banging down low, you have to have some weight on you. So when you play with LeBron as that third star, you sacrifice the most on the team, in my opinion. That's when you have to change your game up completely. You're going to get pushed to the corner, just like Chris Bosh did in that first big three. You got pushed to the corner. You got to shoot threes. You got to rebound. You got to take a lot of the blame when stuff doesn't go right. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of a sucky job, but some people would say it was worth it because Kevin Love got a ring, got a championship. In my opinion, they should have won a couple more, but we're not going to dwell on hypotheticals. But playing with LeBron, and this is coming from a LeBron fan here, it's not easy. It's a very tough job. Some people see no issue with it. Some people are just like, oh well. Like, I don't think Kyrie, when LeBron first came back, he was like, I'm getting elevated to the highest stage of basketball. Now I get to show what I can do. And I feel like a lot of players rise, but then some players, they crumble and they just can't handle the pressure because the pressure is just, it's kind of insurmountable. It's every day. And then with social media, it's 24/7. You turn your phone on, there's negativity all around you. So some examples of it being tough to play with LeBron and just the environment being toxic, like Kevin Durant said. Coach Ty Lue took over for David Blatt, who was fired midway through the season after coming off a finals appearance. They had the best record in the East that year. Sounds kind of strange, don't it? Why would they fire a coach that has a winning record, #1 in the East, just came off a finals appearance? Keep that in mind. So, like I said, Ty Lue took over in 2015. By 2018, they had been to consecutive finals in a row. Ty Lue, his hair was gray. His whole head. That man was stressing like the president. The only person I've seen that happen to was Obama after he got done with his second term. Why is Ty Lue stressing like that? It's not healthy. He even had to take a couple weeks off for his own health. And no game is worth dying over, so I'm glad he did that. Then we have Kevin Love. 2018, his third, fourth year with LeBron. Reporting to have anxiety attacks mid-game. He felt like, I believe he was going up to shoot a free throw and he just felt like some pain in his chest. And then he got to the sideline and was like, I just gotta go. Obviously the media ate this up like cat food. Like, they went crazy. What's Kevin Love doing? And then, remember what I said about that third player when you playing with LeBron? You getting majority of the criticism. It's all coming to you. And I feel like this was just overwhelming to Kevin Love, so he was just like, I gotta take some time off. Second person that had to take time off from playing with LeBron. All right, I know you guys remember this, man. I remember like it was yesterday. So LeBron looks similar to this year's Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron he put his GM hat on, started going crazy. Let me get D Wade. Let me get D Rose. Let me get Isaiah Thomas. Let me get Jay Crowder. Let me get this person. Let me get that person. We started putting a team together. Did it fit? No. Obviously, was it cool to see Dwayne Wade and LeBron play in Cleveland? It was dope, but ultimately it didn't work out. Trade deadline came. LeBron, typical LeBron fashion. Trade. So we got Rodney Hood back. Rodney Hood, Jay Crowder. I believe they traded away D Wade and a couple other pieces. But they made a run to the finals. That's the crazy thing. So sometimes it feels like it's worth it. when you got to deal with all this drama and stuff like that, and you still making a trip to the finals. But I feel like LeBron in 2018 exerted max effort when it came to the NBA finals, to just getting there. Because obviously you damn sure weren't winning against that Golden State Warrior team. Killer KD over there in the Bay, teaming up with them boys. No bueno. But yeah, it felt like the team just had a lot of scrap parts, and that was just due to LeBron putting his GM hat on, having too much say in the organization. Now, the Cleveland Cavaliers aren't the best organization, but I feel like you gotta let those people do their jobs at the end of the day, because LeBron, you're a player. You gotta play, bro. That's the main job. You can't do. LeBron likes to do his job, the media's job, the coach's job, the owner's job, the GM's job. No, you just gotta focus on your job. Because I feel like ultimately by focusing on everybody else's job, you're making your main job harder, because you gotta exert max effort to get to the playoffs. I remember he was playing 48 minutes. He won 7 games with Victor Oladipo and the Pacers. That's nuts. You shouldn't be going to get 7 games with them. So I feel like, man, you can work hand in hand with the front office to get pieces there, but you shouldn't be calling all the shots. Ultimately, you gotta have depth. You gotta have players in there to take some pressure off of you, so you're not out there trying to do everything. But I feel like in LeBron's mind, he has to be doing everything to feel good about what's going on the floor. It has to be some type of chaos for him to thrive. LeBron, 2018, tough year. Hey, that summer, his deal was up. He said, I'm out. We going to LA, man. First he had the 23. Over here, he switched to the 6. So yeah, he slid to Los Angeles. I feel like it's been a pretty successful run with the Lakers. Obviously everything hasn't gone perfectly, but I feel like up until this year, it's been a pretty successful run. He's accomplished a lot in his 3-4 years with the Lakers. Obviously winning a championship. It happened in the NBA bubble, but I feel like he gets knocked unfairly for winning that championship. Obviously, I know the trolls are gonna do what they do, and oh yeah, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. The Skip Baylesses of the world, oh, it was in the bubble, it doesn't count. But I feel like a lot of fans should commend the Lakers for winning that championship. Obviously, no one wanted to be in a bubble. No one wants to be in a pandemic, but we are in one. There's really nothing we can do about it. We wanted the NBA season to finish up, and we had to do it by any means possible. The NBA wanted to recoup their money. The players still wanted to play. So, I mean, the Lakers went to the bubble and handled business and won the championship. But I feel like in order to kind of shut those people up, you got to just go ahead and win it again. So that's why I'm very disappointed in this season and just how it's turned out. Obviously, after All-Star break, I thought we were going to turn it around and just start making a run towards the playoffs. And when we get in the playoffs, you never know what could happen. But, I mean, at this point, I don't think it really matters. Let's lose all the rest of our games, we won't make the play-in. But I feel like right now our spot's really solidified. So I don't think it's really like a worry. But just the way they've been playing and just showing a lack of effort, it just hasn't really been, promising, just the way they looked. And I gotta call LeBron out on this one too, man. Like, I just gotta be objective. That's the type of fan I am. LeBron, the body language is terrible. I feel like when things are going right, obviously you're in the forefront, you're celebrating, you're cheering, a front runner in a sense. When things are going wrong, as a leader, because I feel like everybody else is gonna follow suit. And in middle school, I had a coach tell me this, like, you can't have that body language because your teammates see that and then they're gonna follow suit behind that. Like, oh, he's disengaged, he's mad, he's whatever. So I mean, why would I care if he doesn't care? So I feel like as a best player, you gotta ultimately, it's kind of like an NFL quarterback, how they're looked at as a leader of the organization, the face of the organization, if you're a good quarterback. But if you notice when the game's over and they lose and they get a microphone stuck in their face, they gotta take it and just sit there, answer the questions. You're not expected to give show any type of anger, show any type of frustration. Just expected to stand there and accept it, bro, because you're the leader of the organization. And I feel like that's what comes with being the best player and the highest paid player and stuff like that. You got to be able to stand up when things are uncomfortable and be able to face the music. Now, I don't want to make it seem like LeBron is just not like rising up to the occasion. He definitely has, but I feel like when it comes to body language and being a leader, you have to take pride in that. You have to emphasize that to your teammates. So I feel like it's important to have good body language. We're here today, man, with the Lakers. Like I said, I'm optimistic. Actually, I'm lying. They killed my optimism. They're not looking good. We're 27-34 right now. I mean, I can understand losing the games, but just not being competitive. Losing to the Pelicans on your home floor by damn near 30. That's not cool at all. I don't care if we don't have AD. I don't care who we don't have. You guys got to stand up and show some more fight than that, man. But like I said, it's all started by LeBron, the body language. But let's address this Russell Westbrook move, the bad fit, and how the blame game is being played. Now, one thing I'm learning about LeBron, and I have learned about LeBron, is that he's a media manipulator. He has a lot of different people in different spots that can speak for him. So Rich Paul, obviously, I don't want to knock him at all because Rich Paul is a successful businessman, an agent, super agent, represents a lot of different players in the league, has his own sports agency. But ultimately, that's LeBron's friend, so he's always going to be looked at as LeBron's guy. And a lot of people don't like him for that, but I mean, Rich Paul has come out and spoke for him as far as him being upset with the Lakers. And this kind of feels like the fingers just being pointed in different places, and I'm not really feeling that. I'm not a type of guy that likes to play the blame game. I'm more of a let's find a solution. You feel me? Yeah, we traded for Russ. It happened. Once again, we're not gonna put all this on Russ because there's games where Russ didn't play. You guys still lost, so I feel like that's just an excuse and a cop out. But ultimately, our roster is not constructed that well. But I understand why Rob Pelinka didn't make a trade at the deadline. There's no trade to make. John Wall's not going to solve our issues. Christian Wood's not going to solve our issues. And trading a first-round pick in 2027, 5 years from now, is just going to put us further in the hole. And there's no reason to do that. Just cut your losses after this season. Try to get Russ off the books and just restart, man. As a smarter player and as high of an IQ as LeBron has, he should know what he would like around him. Why are we making unnecessary trades for players that don't fit? LeBron, everything revolves around you, so in my opinion, get shooters. Buddy Hield wouldn't have been a bad trade to me, but I mean, they decided to go the other direction. But like I said, let's figure this out. Trading AD is definitely not going to solve anything. AD is definitely a top player in the league. We got to get him back to playing to his full potential. And yeah, LeBron doesn't have many years left. That's why it's becoming kind of disappointing to me as far as just letting this season slip away. I'm hopeful that we can do something, but I'm not going to count on it anymore. I was optimistic, but not really feeling that, man. I got my partner, my podcast partner, Coop, man. He on my top every day, man. He's sending me different posts about the Lakers and the Clippers and stuff like that. He a Clippers fan, so you know he gotta talk his talk, man. So I can't do nothing but respect it. But Lakers, man, I need y'all to step it up, man. Show some fight and just be respectable, man. You can't be out there just going outside. For this video, the environment around LeBron is indeed toxic. I've come to my conclusion. I've seen enough. I have enough evidence here. Case is closed, man. Me, my pops, and my brother, we have laughs about this all the time, but LeBron always finds his way finds his way into every single conversation. It doesn't matter what it is. We could be talking about, oh, lacrosse. I played lacrosse in high school. LeBron's gonna fire off a tweet. Oh, you know I did that in high school too. Oh yeah, I was playing lacrosse. Oh, my son did. Oh yeah, my son did that too. The Rams won a championship. Oh, we should have a joint parade when we win the championship. LeBron, Lakers won the championship in 2020. Why? Let the Rams have that moment, bro. That's something that frustrates me about LeBron. I feel like he brings a lot of unnecessary attention onto him, onto his teammates. I don't know what's going on. So I'm just like, what's going on with that? But with all the all the negativity and bad that comes with the environment playing with LeBron, LeBron's a good guy ultimately. He's a person, like I talked about earlier in the video, LeBron's a true trailblazer in the not just NBA but the sports world. He changed the way that NBA, not even NBA players, like I said, the sports world, MLB, NHL, NFL, how those players look at look at themselves as a business and like, oh, I can go over here and play with this person, or I can ask for more money. I can ask for my input over here. He just made it more comfortable and more acceptable for players to be empowered. He's the leader, the new school leader of the player empowerment movement. So, I mean, I can't knock a man for using his power and leverage, but I feel like at some point you have to, when you're using it and you're unchecked, I feel like that's when it can become stuff negative like this, as far as when we're playing a blame game about who made this move, who did this, who did that, or why is the roster bad. Because the LeBron doesn't have any help narrative is really tiring to me. It's like, LeBron, you have a hand in putting all these rosters together, so why do you never have any help? You can't just ultimately point the finger at the teams. You got to take some accountability too. That's one thing that kind of bothers me. You have to take some accountability when it comes to these issues. Thank you for tuning into this video today. It's environment around LeBron toxic. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hey, we out and cue the rain.
Jungle like I'm Conan, kind of with both hands. Switch the flow like it was broken. I'm on the road, man, making plays just like DeRozan. I shoot my shot, and that shit wetter than the ocean. I brag a lot, but with the wind and come the boat in. I made a lot.